of the most experienced MCAT tutors in the country. Drop your MCAT questions here. Make sure we have our little text box up here. Let's see. All right, let's talk med school. Are you a pre-med? Boom. Make it nice, clean, easy to read text. There we go. Boom. All right. Hopefully that's an easy to read text. That looks actually really, really, really hard to read. Let's try this. Maybe that'll be better. Let's find out. All right. All right, there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into, I think we'll go ahead and do, let's see. Let me pull up my What's on the MCAT PDF here. And let's jump into the next section here on the, all right, so we are running through the what is on the MCAT PDF. Let me just keep my text on screen there. And then we'll go ahead and add in let's go ahead and add in our screenshot here from the next section. All right, so this next section is the next part of the bio section. And here is our official. Now, guys, this is the official PDF from AMC. All right, we have a question from Muhammad. It says, I'm a 613 test score. Thoughts on the recent CP? So I haven't heard anybody saying that the chem and phys section was super different from previous exams. Is there the whole cohort of students that I'm working with right now, nobody has commented on it being anything like super unusual. But yeah, if there's something interesting and weird out there with the recent exam, I'm super curious to hear about it. So please do follow up in the comments and let me know what. The curiosity is going to kill me. What was weird about the recent MCAT? And let me leave a quick comment here on YouTube as well. Drop your MCAT and pre-med questions here. Anything about getting into med school, or visit www.mcatboss.com for help. All right. And there we go. They killed on physics, all physics heavy, low yield. Well, now I do think, so I will say this, in terms of tracking the comments about the sections, the exams in terms of like high yield versus low yield, there's two kind of things to think about for the MCAT. One is that generally speaking, and let me disappear the little box here for a second. So we'll chat for a second about this. So the big thing that a lot of people have been freaking out about the last year or two about the MCAT is that this idea that you can do high yield concepts for a few topics to get most of your points has really been challenged. And it's kind of, there's a little bit of give and take with this, right? Because if you know your content really well, welcome in. Awesome. Always happy to have fellow doctors on board. That is awesome. MD and PhD. That is great. You should share your wisdom, share your journey. There used to be this idea that you could do a whole lot of super high yield focus. Like you could say, I need to learn, say, circuits and the physics, the physics for, I don't know, say the physics for the basics of force and mass, velocity and acceleration. And as long as you have kinematics and force down, then you'll be okay. And yeah, it's Muhammad says, I knew physics was my weak point, but who isn't weak in it? LOL. So I scored 100th percentile in physics, and I really like this section. So I know that I'm biased, and obviously I've been, teaching the MCAT for like 13 years. So I obviously am not sort of the average cross section of students taking it. But the thing to keep in mind with the physics section, but the science sections in general on the MCAT, is sometimes when people say, oh no, y'all smash that like button for me. Oh no, you can't get enough individual content. Like you have to do a whole bunch of like really specific content. Sometimes part of that is right? Like thank you guys. The part of the fact that the MCAT is as broad as it is means you do have to know a lot of the smaller topics. That is a fact. The other part of it though is that a lot of times when they ask really complicated questions on the MCAT, they sound more complicated than they really are. What I mean, in fact, I wonder if I could do, I could probably do, I should totally do an example. Let me see if I can figure out how to do a text layer with, I wonder how much text I can put on that you guys could still see. Would this work? If I do a second text block here. So if I said something like, let's say an assay is used to discover that a specific molecule acts as a potent inhibitor of RNA polymerase. This molecule is called XP4871. It has a molecular weight of 341 grams per mole. And what molecules will be absent from okay, so it doesn't let me put enough. Let me try to talk you guys through this for a second. It's not going to let me put enough, can I wrap font? I'm going to attempt to do this, guys. I'm going to attempt to do this. Custom text box, line wrap. Yes. Boom. I am going to attempt to make this happen. Okay. Now I'm going to set this up on purpose, guys. Check this out. Because Mohammed, I understand what you're saying about looking at Reddit or something, but I completely do. I'm making a real specific response to this idea that you can even have that happen. So let's say an assay is used to discover a specific molecule acts as a potent inhibitor of an RNA polymerase. This molecule is called XP4871. It has a molecular weight of 341 grams per mole. So we'll delete this part here. See if we can get a little bit more on screen. What macromolecules will be absent from E. coli treated with XP 4871. Okay, now check this out. We're going somewhere really specific with this. Hopefully this makes sense. And here's the terrible thing about this. My text wrap is gone. Custom text box wrapping. Yes, height of 150. Okay, let's see if we can make this happen. All right. Hopefully you guys can see this. Now here's where we're going with this. This kind of problem that I put here on the screen sounds utterly, insanely complicated to a lot of students. Even the ones who are actually pretty good at bio absolutely hate questions like this. So the question sounds like I'm asking you something really specific about a really specific peptide, right? This XP4871. Now, it sounds like I might expect you to know something about the molecular. Somebody says this isn't the normal SAT, right? So let's talk. Let me change this here. Let's talk MCAT for Premeds. All right. So guys, the MCAT is not the SAT. This is the entrance exam for medical school, guys. It says the entrance exam for med school. Okay, going to freshman year, and now I'm scared. Yeah, Alexa, are you a pre-med? Yeah, let me know what you're. Yeah, let me know if you're here in the right place. So, let me see. How hard is anatomy physiology for pregnancy? Please feel free to let me know. Do you mean pre-med? Anatomy physiology is pretty. I mean, it's detailed, it's thorough. It's not like super hard concepts, but it's a lot of information. Okay, so Mohammed, what I was going into, what I was kind of emphasizing with this example here. Let me do regular black text. This might be easier for everybody to see. Custom box, height 90, wrap text. Boom. Okay. Hopefully this is easier to see. So it sounds when you see a question like this, it sounds almost impossible. It sounds like you're going to get in trouble if you don't know something about this specific peptide, or it sounds like you're going to get in trouble if you don't know something really specific about the shape of the enzyme or the binding of the enzyme, or some kind of super specific thing, or maybe it's a thing you need to know about E. coli. There's all these separate things. Welcome in, guys, on the YouTube side. Drop those questions, anything med school related on there. So yeah, it sounds like you have to know. Yeah, I am not Thibaut. Poor Courtois with his injury. Thank you, guys. It sounds like we have to know something super, super specific, either about E. coli or the enzyme. And the way that the MCAT sort of convinces people that it's way, way, way harder is they ask these questions that really seem like they require something super, super advanced, even when they don't. And I think that's kind of the trade-off, right? Like the feeling that this is complicated. But check this out. The information they give us here says that this thing is an inhibitor of RNA polymerase. And if you remember that RNA polymerase is an inhibitor for the polymerization of RNA, there's only one pair of answers here, and that is if whatever this thing is, even if I don't know what XP4871 is, if I'm using it and it's stopping the RNA polymerase, this means that I'm not going to get RNA from DNA. And if I don't get RNA from DNA, I don't have a way of making peptides. And so, just right off the bat that you're going to be missing the ability to translate RNA, to transcribe RNA and then to translate the RNA into peptides. And so you're going to be missing RNA and peptides. And that's it. The answer is just the things that are missing in the E. coli that are treated with it are going to be RNA and peptides. That's it. And I don't have to reference the XP4871. I don't have to reference the molecular weight. But when people take a test like this, they go on Reddit later and they go, oh my gosh, you had to know all this extra stuff about XP4871, and you had to know all this other stuff about RNA polymerase, and you had to know all this other stuff. Yeah, cobalt, yes, you're going to be missing the protein, and of course, because you can't polymerize RNA, you're going to be missing RNA. That's the point. But half the people who take a question like this will go on Reddit after and say, it was impossible, man. You'll never believe the really complicated, sketchy, detailed stuff. And from the perspective of people taking it who don't realize this is a much simpler problem, it feels like this was some insane niche problem, but it wasn't a niche problem. It was like fundamental bio 101, the fundamental dogma, right? The same thing is true with physics. When somebody is asked this really complicated setup problem, and then they mention something about how the net force in this direction is 271 newtons, and the next net force in this direction was a certain amount of newtons, and then there was like no acceleration and it was at rest, and then they ask you about like the kinetic friction. I will have students who will sit there for like 4 or 5 minutes trying to calculate the kinetic friction, not realizing that they said the object had a net force of 0. And if that's the case, well, there's no kinetic friction. If it's not moving, there's no kinetic friction, right? And so, it's just that's the end of the problem. It was meant to be a simple problem, and people feel like it was more complicated. And that this is one of the reasons why I trained so hard for students. When I train students, I'm specifically trying to train them on how to understand that this is way simpler than they typically see. And so let me mention real quick a couple things, guys, real quick. Welcome in. Ask any MCAT or Med school application questions. I'm Dr. Matt. I'm an MD with distinction in research, and I have taught MCAT for 13 years and founded www.mcatboss.com. So I've been a national consultant for 3 or 4 different companies. I've worked for MCAT companies and helped to construct some of the curriculum from some of the biggest MCAT companies in the country. And this is my jam. Let me just adjust this box here, and then I'll get right back to your questions, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for all of the questions. I will get right back to it right now. Let me just move this. Hopefully that's visible on mobile screens. I need to do the little thing where you actually check, because I know it's kind of hard to see sometimes. Okay. All right. Let me check real quick here, guys. Let's see. A couple Courtois comments. I am probably related to Thibaut because of where our families originate, but I am not he. I did not ruin the chances for Belgium to continue on in the World Cup, guys. So if you're rooting for Belgium, it is not my fault that that it didn't work out for Belgium. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Let me check on the YouTube side. Everything looks fine. Okay. Continuing on. Okay. Let's see. Where were we? Okay. Nice said I failed organic chemistry 15 times. I don't understand. Do I still have a chance? I'm so sorry. Or you said you failed organic chemistry 5 times, maybe. If that is the case, I don't know. I've had almost every imaginable scenario that students have faced in the past 13 years. I cannot honestly tell you that I've ever had a student who I have consulted for who has retaken a class more than twice after their initial take. So I cannot answer that. Next one says, is the MCAT designed to be a weed out? It is a very difficult exam, and also as a lower income student. So, and then their question continued, I can't afford to pay for a prep course or any third-party resources. Is the MCAT designed to be a weed out? Okay, I think that is a repeat of the question. Okay, so, yeah. So the comment at the end about getting UWorld, I actually agree with this. So I definitely think it is possible to I definitely think it is possible. By all means, I don't think people should give up if they can't afford to work with a professional or with their prep course. I'm personally not a fan of the prep courses. Most of the students who come with, probably like 70% of the students who come work with me have already spent anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 with MCAT courses. And I really truly don't think that most of those students are getting very much out of the courses, or I don't think they would be kind of looking for like personal help from somebody like me. So I do think that it is definitely a great idea to work with UWorld. If you are trying to construct sort of a very straightforward self-study plan, then the best thing you can do is to get a great quality question bank like UWorld, and then just very carefully work your way through UWorld. That's a great idea. If you can give yourself a few months to do it, you'll have the opportunity to work through a lot of the weaknesses, a lot of the content gaps, and a lot of the sort of mistaken methodologies that you might have. I do think that those are really, really great ways to do it. So, Let me check on YouTube for just a second. Okay, I think we are caught up. Let me kind of leave a written reply to UWorld is a great option for self-study. I think it is an absolutely wonderful option. Okay, let me jump back to our, let me put a background on this for a second, and then we will jump into, let me see here, background and solid white. Let's see. Can I do that? Yes, I can. Awesome. Okay. Yay. Okay, guys. Okay, so real quick, let's talk through the what is on screen here now for a minute. Okay, so the next section, so section 1D on the content review on the MCAT, we've been going through the bio content, and the next section is bioenergetics. And this section, I think, is really interesting because it feels a lot like the physics section. In my opinion, it feels more like the physics section than the bio section, but it is technically considered part of the bio section. So talking about bioenergetics, thermodynamics, the questions about Le Chatelier's principle, these are technically considered part of the bio content. Endothermic and exothermic reactions, free energy, spontaneous reactions, and of course the beloved energy currency of the cell, which of course is ATP and its cousins ADP and AMP. And then you need to know a little bit about biological oxidation and reduction. This involves electron carriers and flavoproteins, flavoproteins, not flavor proteins. And you will, of course, need to understand the biggest, I would say, the breakdown and the sort of energy output of a resource like glucose, and then the sort of setup for the electron transport chain, the electron carrier proteins in the electron transport chain, and the electron gradient that gets established in the electron transport chain are going to be, if there is any such thing as a high yield topic, it is going to be those kinds of things that are the most helpful. All right, let me go ahead and erase that one now, and we'll erase this one. All right, Abby says, I'm taking a gap year before med school. What's your top recs for patient care jobs during gap year? Okay, wonderful question. Thank you for asking the question. So the patient care jobs really go along an entire scale, all the way from jobs that have minimal patient contact, like front office jobs with almost no medical exposure, all the way to like medical assistant jobs where you're interacting directly with the patient, and then kind of in between ones, right? Like medical scribing, where you're essentially taking notes for a provider while they are interacting with the patient. And I think that's a good example of one that is really useful, in that you are exposed to a lot of the conversations and like real life interactions between patients and physicians. The sort of upcoming weird sort of technological shift to keep in mind is that a lot of people now are using AI scribe software. And so I do think that medical scribing is probably going to go, as they say, the way of the dinosaurs, because I think in a very, very limited amount of time, probably in the next 2 to 3 years, I imagine that a whole host of people, probably most providers, at least most providers who are like, less than 70 years old, are going to probably move over and adopt the digital scribes, right? Where the scribing is being done by essentially a audio recognition thing. So, LLM engine that's listening to the conversation. It was like super controversial even 10 years ago, but it probably is going to happen. In that case, there's a variety of different sort of clinic and hospital roles that can involve being an MA. Do let me know if you're doing anything else during the gap year, because I think personally, unless a student already has a just ridiculously good MCAT score, I am kind of strongly opinionated towards the idea that any student who's taking an actual gap year probably benefits from the from pushing hard and busting out a bunch more practice work and getting your MCAT score up as well. I think you'd be very hard pressed to make an argument for taking a gap year and not also improving your MCAT score unless there's a reason not to, right? Like if you're like, hey, I'm sitting on a 512 and I worked really hard for it and I don't ever want to see the MCAT again, then you'll be okay. And then taking a gap year for some additional hours, clinic hours, things like that, research, anything like that, I think is totally reasonable. We are going to wrap up here in around 3 minutes, guys. So if you have any other questions, I am going to change our text box here. Actually, let's leave the text box there for 1 second. Sure thing. Let me real quick leave. So you can write to matt@mcatboss.com for help with the MCAT or pre-med/med school apps. Do keep in mind, guys, I do give a pretty chunky one-time discount if students book the same day as live. So if there's anything that you need help with in your journey, do let me know, and I'm more than happy to help you scope out kind of what you're going to do during your year. Because I think the big thing you have to look out for is underutilizing your time, right? So I should do this. I should like live change the topic while we're going through. So pre-med, med school, gap year, and then we should do that and sort of wrap up on that topic here. So pre-med and med school gap year. So because we get asked about this all the time, in fact, I'm gonna do this. This will do. Let's put that up here and let's record a rant. So there we go. I get asked all the time about how to best use a gap year between your pre-med undergrad degree and your medical school year. And I think one of the most important things to keep in mind is that there is a right way to use your gap year and a wrong way to use your gap year. The wrong way to use your gap year would be laying up on your sofa and eating potato chips and watching a bunch of movies. And the right way to use your gap year would be to figure out, do you have deficiencies in your app, like not enough volunteer hours, you wished you had done some kind of research, not enough clinic hours, or of course, the classic, your MCAT score could be higher and you really want time to put in the effort to get a really good score. Now, if you need help, drop me a line, matt@mcatboss.com. But here's the main thing you need to know. You should, in almost every situation, be doing two of those things. Try to get more hours, try to get some kind of research in, and or you should be also knocking out more practice questions and getting your MCAT score higher. So unless you're sitting on a crazy high score, try to do more than one of those things. Use your gap year well and make it win for you. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. We are coming right up on the half hour in about 45 seconds. So if you haven't followed, make sure you are following. If you need help on the MCAT, drop a line, matt@mcatboss.com, or visit the site, www.mcatboss.com. And there is, of course, a same-day discount. If you mention that you found me on the live, please do make sure that you mention this so I know to offer it to you. But yeah, if you have not followed, make sure you're following, and I will see you guys next time.